Hello, Aries, and welcome to your June 2024 forecast. I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's great to see everybody. A quick reminder before we begin, you can always use these readings for Sun, Rising Moon, and Venus. As always, let's begin with some channeled messages. These all come through dreams and meditation. The first thing that I picked up on was a cat. And we'll talk about the cat, then we'll connect it to the cards that we see here. So the cat in and of itself is an intuitive symbol. And it reminds you in this moment in time to trust your instincts when it comes to business, when it comes to love, especially when it comes to health and well-being. The other thing here is that you can land on your feet. So if there's a challenging situation, even if you have a setback, you're still going to be able to come out of this or go through the situation with your feet planted on the ground. Oftentimes better, you'll come out better than when you started. And so don't give up. Tune in, trust your instincts, don't give up. Now, specifically, if we look at the top card, you'll notice in the very corner, there's a little cat right at the foot of her throne. So the cat connects us to the Queen of Wands. She is the queen, not only of being a great boss, but also of innovation. And part of the way that her brand of magic works is through just doing the unexpected. Trusting her instincts, and especially when it comes to business and management, and saying, it's always been done this way, but I think we should try this. So your ability to innovate and think your way through a problem this month, that's really something that you don't want to underestimate. Please embrace that. Magic in general is something that you have the ability to do here this month. And when I say magic, it's really like manifestation. And so if you can see it and believe it, you have a great chance of accomplishing it. But you have to believe it. That's really how magic works, is that belief, that faith, that hope, and it carries you through to the finish line. We can also connect this card, or this symbol rather, to the card of Nine of Wands because of the 9 lives of the cat. Really what that is representing is perseverance, persistence, and sometimes just pushing through to the finish line. And we get all of that energy with this. And when you couple 9 of Wands energy with Queen of Wands, it's basically saying you can lead, you can push through difficult situations, and you're nobody's fool. You've got this if you want to make something happen. You're also very close to seeing something through. The state of completion would be at like 80 or 90%. You're very, very close. Now is the time to really double down and just finish that so that you can get started on the next thing. And the next dream symbol is going to talk about that. So before we get into that, again, trusting your instincts, taking charge because we have queen energy here, and pushing through. We got another queen with the second symbol. So I saw myself basically like in ancient Greece, and I was at a temple, and it was the temple of Hera, also connected to Juno, the queen of the gods, basically. And she represents, of course, power, fertility, birth, and creation. And she's also very magical because she's a goddess, right? She can make things happen when others cannot or will not. And maybe that's one other thing that, Aries, you need to hear this month is that you can do this, but you have to want to do it and believe that you can do it. Otherwise, no amount of, having all of the sort of tools and all of the ability, that's part of it, but it's the belief and the follow through. And that's really where the energy wants to take you. Lots of leadership opportunities. And for many of you, this is also saying, if you're used to sort of just waiting or anticipating something, you almost have to kind of lead the charge. I could have also coupled this with like the 6 of Wands, because I get energy of success, but in the 6 of Wands, we have someone riding in on a horse leading that charge. But suffice it to say, if I have the Empress or the Emperor card, it is about being the leader, okay? Finally, because we have all of these sort of queen cards and we saw something coming to a close, now we have one that would be connected with birthing or releasing. That second to last bullet is important. Now is the time to release or set a major plan into motion. The only cautionary note that I got with this particular symbol is the final bullet here, which is around jealousy. So let's assume it might be in your environment, maybe a friend or a family member that just can't be happy for you. That speaks a lot more to their own challenges than anything that's going on with you, but you probably want to limit interactions with them. If you feel a sense of jealousy or frustration over someone else's good fortune and maybe your lack of progress, I always try to look at it in this sort of light, and maybe this will help you. First of all, I try to get inspired instead of jealous about someone. I'm like, how did they do that? Is there any way that I could apply some of that to my own experience so that I could learn from them, basically. So I look at someone and I think that's admirable, and maybe I can try something too. The other thing here is to remember that like energy attracts like energy. So if you're really close to someone and they're kind of like their star is on the rise, well, you can also go into that energy as well, because they wouldn't be in your general periphery unless you had something to offer as well. So it's just looking at your own life and saying, what can I do to also feel inspired, do something great? Can I learn from them? And all of this is going to help you out. But if there is someone that can't celebrate your success, it's probably better to move in a different direction and keep them at arm's length this month, because you got too many great things that want to come through this month. So with that being said, let's give the cards a shuffle and we'll see what else Spirit wants to bring through. As I said at the beginning, this can always be used for your sun, rising, and moon sign. Let's take a moment now, relax a little bit, focus, and really just call in whatever messages need to be brought through today. So a nice deep breath, close your eyes, clear your mind, and let's begin. All right, let's get started here. We're going to begin first with the Catalyst card, and it is letting go of some memories from the past. As you can see, the Catalyst helps you make that necessary shift that hopefully brings some movement into your life. So we have memory coming through here, and the memory in the reverse state, of course, would be nostalgia. There could be for some of you a feeling of regret or second guessing, and it could be based on something from the past. Some of you may also be dealing with memories that are bubbling up, maybe after you have learned to release someone or something, because when I look at hopes, fears, and opportunity, we have a card here that's often associated with the process in our life just after someone or something exits. So yeah, I see reflective energy here. Reflection is good and it serves a purpose, but we have to learn from the past and live in the present, apply those lessons to the present, because this is right here, right now, this is the most important moment. And then in a moment, the next one is going to be the most important moment, because in the present, you make all of the changes, all of the difference, you're making new memories as we speak. So this is really just inviting you, hopefully inspiring you too, to be as present as possible. And yeah, I think that's the main thing here is it's okay to have those memories bubble up. It's okay to look at the past, but now is what matters. Okay? Now let's take a look at your centermost cards, and we'll just look at everything really quickly before we get into the card by card breakdown. So I like the triptych at the center here, the World, the Knight of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups. So a lot of energy coming through and a lot of movement here. But there's a little bit of healing to do. This makes sense. Something wants to be released here. Even the Ace of Cups in reverse is about releasing something. So I'm going to try to help you with that. Overall, the rest of the cards are looking really good here. We have a King of Swords in reverse connecting with the throat chakra here. Lots of synchronicities with all the cards. Let me just zoom out a smidge. Good, we can see everything better. Okay, let's get started with your center card. The Knight of Pentacles coming through saying this is a month for movement and abundance and opportunity knocking in many ways. Whenever a knight is upright, there's actually encouragement, if not validation, that you're on the right track. So if you want to try something new, if you just made a bold change in your life, this is validating that. If you have a new idea that you want to bring forward, this is validating that. It's also encouragement to take the reins to your financial future. If it's been a minute since you've looked at your investments, your savings, or if you haven't, like for those of you that are partnered up, if you haven't talked to your partner about their goals and your goals together, this is a chance to make sure that it's all aligning, that you're on the same page, and that you're making that movement and traction that you would like to. But with this at the center, it's also about things coming to you, opportunities coming to you. So be willing and ready to both take the reins and also reach out for an opportunity as well. As I said earlier, we have 3 beautiful cards here at the center, but we have the 3 of Swords coming through. I feel like it's connected to a memory or something from the past. Let's just chat about it for a second. This does a beautiful job of showing you that difficult situations in your life help you grow. So we have the 3 arrows or swords going through the heart, but a beautiful rose that is a result of that. So we can think of that old Kelly Clarkson song, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." This is part of this, but beyond just that, beyond the strength of being able to survive something, comes something much more valuable. And that is empathy and context. Context meaning that when something somewhat challenging comes into your life, but not as bad as something you've already been through, you can look at it and think, I've survived this and worse. I've got this. I'm not going to let it stress me out. If you see someone else going through a challenging moment, you can think to yourself, wow, I really feel for them. It may not be like apples for apples, but I do understand to some degree. How can I help? So it creates compassion, it creates strength, and it gives you context to also appreciate the good moments. So some of you could just be looking at how difficult the past was and thinking to yourself, thank goodness that chapter's over. For those that are still going through a challenging moment, first of all, my compassion and empathy extends to you. I will say that there are a lot of opportunities knocking this month, so my encouragement would be to seek out the support, the advice, the help that you need in order to process that so that you can also embrace. There's a lot of silver linings this month, and you'll see it as we go through the spread. So you can really embrace those opportunities, okay? Don't let one setback, this could just also be like a single rejection letter or someone that just said no. Don't let one setback get in the way, because I actually see this not lasting very long. In the recent past, we have the world, so there's something bigger that's already happening for many of you. So this can't occupy too much time because there's too many other things that want to come through. One last thing here, don't get caught up in someone else's mess. At first, it almost looked like this was like a web, but it's actually some brush that's kind of growing. Back when I used to be a waiter, we had this term called like being in the weeds. It was like being in the thicket or the brush, and you couldn't see your way out. So I feel like some of you could be working with someone, living with someone that kind of is in the thick of it, and you don't have to get pulled into that mess. That was the first thing that I thought of here, was like, don't get pulled into someone else's web, okay? You can only help or heal them so much, and then it's up to them at the end of the day. Let's look at the deep past. You received the 9 of Cups, which is a card of celebration and recognition. So for many of you, this is saying, take a moment and celebrate your progress, your success, and don't just jump from one thing to the next, one relationship to the next, one project to the next. Just take a moment and think, I've come a long way. I got through that. That's cause to celebrate. This is also an invitation to recognize other people in your life that are bringing positivity and also kind of emanating growth and development. Just saying, job well done, way to go. So, celebrate your success, celebrate others, take time to rest and have fun, enjoy. It definitely is a card that can be one that's connected to excess, so everything in moderation. But because it's in the past and because we had that memory card connected to the 3 of Swords, one of the things that you can do to get past a challenge is just to say, today's a better day and look at what I just did. And that's going to also help you reset your focus on the future. Now, before I go too far in the spread, this can represent someone passing into spirit. This can be the mourning process. This can be awake. And that is one way to process grief, especially if someone really had a positive impact on everybody's life and their wish is to be remembered in a way that's joyful. Yeah, you can smile, you can laugh. I had to do a eulogy once for a family member that had a weird sense of humor, always liked to, crack jokes. And I had to do two eulogies kind of in my life, and it's never easy. But I was writing it for other family members because it's hard, and I realize that having lost a parent, it makes sense to sometimes have someone else deliver it. But I thought, what am I going to do? Because this person was a jokester. Well, I talked about that. I talked about the fact that sometimes the jokes weren't funny, and then everybody in the church started to laugh. And, we kind of remembered the good and the quirky pieces of this person. And I painted a true and likable picture because it was the real version of them. It wasn't a romanticized one. But at the end, we were laughing, and a lot of people came up and said thank you, because they also needed the tension to be released a little bit. That is what a wake can do. That is what a little bit of humor can do. That's why sometimes you go through the gamut of emotions at any sort of shift in your life. You cry a little bit, you laugh a little bit. If you've just quit a job, if you've just graduated, if you just got married, you know that it's a roller coaster. It's not like this flatline situation. You know what? That means you're alive. If you're experiencing the highs and lows, you're alive. That's what this card reminds us too. You're still here. Let's do something fun. Let's make the most of today. Okay? Let's go ahead now and look at the World card here in the recent past. This represents a significant shift or change. It's already underway because this is one of the biggest change or movement cards. I think it's super auspicious that it's coming through here in recent past. We look at these a little bit ahead. So really this is going to kick off the upcoming month. And this can represent a brand new job. This can represent, for some of you, a new relationship. It can be the end of something. And that's why we have a card also of mourning. And these are the last two cards in the major arcana. So this is hope, fears, and opportunities, and this is the recent past. So it's all happening at once, and there's some processing that's going on. So I feel like the change happens because we have it in the past, then we have the actual acceptance and understanding of what this means. That's also really normal too. Sometimes you have to check in with other people. Like, did you like the party? Was it a good wedding? How did you, what did you think? Because when you're in the middle of it, sometimes you don't even know. And it helps you process all of this. So I just see this as a really good month for both an end and or a beginning. It's a bookend sort of month for you. Travel, movement, and expansion. If I had to pick three words, that's all connected to this. Expansion meaning don't cap the possibilities. I was talking to someone today about just goals in life, goals in career, and I caught myself saying something and them as well. I'm like, let's not cap what's possible. Let's allow that sort of glass ceiling to be removed and really let it go, to the moon or further. So that's what we get with this as well, is don't put some arbitrary limit on that. Let's look at the crowning card here. We have the Page of Cups. It's interesting because the Ace of Cups is reversed. So what I see happening for some of you is an opportunity, could be new love, could be just something you really desire, but there's a little bit of disbelief. There's a little bit of healing to be done. There's also some protection of the heart space. So when this good news comes in, because a page can be communicating good news, your sort of reflex is Ace of Cups reversed, which is to pull back and think, am I ready? Is this okay? Do I deserve this? I would encourage you not to get in your own way. If something good is happening, just take a deep breath and take a sip. That's all she's considering doing. She's going to be should I take a sip of this? Maybe not with the fish in it, but you know what I'm talking about. Just take it one step at a time, one sip at a time, and there's that. This could also be a Pisces coming into your life as I look at that little fish. So there could be new love, new opportunities, a Pisces. There could be just an invitation also for you to open up to filling up that cup with something new in your life, a new experience, okay? Generally speaking, positive news because the page is in the upright position. The challenge this month is where you're at. And also the opportunity here is to check in with the heart and think, is it what I want? So fear notwithstanding, let's assume it has nothing to do with doubt or fear. There could just be, now you clearly know who you are and what you want. As you go through life experiences and with age and wisdom, you have less of an appetite to do something that doesn't feel right. So maybe some of you are just saying, that doesn't resonate. That's great. That's great if you know what you don't want. Say no if you need to. This can just be a card of discernment. Ace of Cups in reverse. It's also saying there might be a lack of grounding in your life. There might be a need for you to just process or really kind of get your bearings with something new. When you just start something like the world here, new job, new love, new relationship, you move into a new place, it's going to take a minute or two for for the dust to settle. And for whatever reason, the dust is around your heart this month. So it's just saying, take it easy, feel it out step by step, and you're going to be all right here. Things may just happen faster than you expect. And it's saying, open yourself up to receive even more. This is a transformative month. I love that we have all these moths or butterflies coming out of that cup. It's a chance to heal, expand, and you can receive more than you thought possible if you allow yourself to go beyond the arbitrary ceiling or limit, which I talked about just a little bit earlier. Okay, let's look at how you're coming through. We have the lovely Three of Pentacles. Even in the reverse state, this is still very positive. If it were upright, what you would see really easily here is that you're just a few steps away from completing something. So a reverse Three of Pentacles can be revisionary work, finishing touches, things of that nature. Then we also see teamwork going on here. And so it could be, for many of you, collaborating or even sort of like conducting this sort of teamwork. And the leadership that we talked about in the channeled messages is where you can step in and kind of stand out and make the difference. If we look at the traditional Three of Pentacles, there's one more piece that isn't very clear on that, which is the recognition piece. So because you're doing something to a high degree of quality, there's going to be eventual recognition or celebration. It may not happen in the moment. That doesn't mean that what you're doing isn't exactly right. Sometimes we just don't get real-time feedback. And I think we're getting very used to it nowadays with like social media. You get the likes, you get the comments, you get all this stuff in real time. But, you know, back in the day, like when an author had to submit a manuscript, you know, put a book out there, it would take time. You'd have to see what the list would say, the bestseller list. Now it's all real-time downloads. So what this is really encouraging you to do is to be patient with the process, because momentum is building. Positivity is en route, but it just may not be here right this moment. So be patient, keep up with the process, keep up with the teamwork, recognition will follow, okay? And if you are doing any sort of revisionary work, it feels like it's exactly what it should be right now. Keep your eye on that horizon, on the prize. And the other thing here, these birds remind me of parrots. They may not be, but if they are parrots, what I would say the important thing to remember here is that you're not trying to parrot, imitate, or duplicate someone else's success or even your own success in the past. You're trying to build something fresh, new, and innovative this month, because we got Queen of Wands energy and that cat energy coming through. And it's really saying, try something different, you'll land on your feet. By the way, this card can also be great for those of you that are writers, or if you're publishing something, especially with the World card here. So this can be the ability for something that you are creating to really reach a larger audience. And so again, continue to put the work in. I see a nice payoff here. Let's look at what's going on right around you in the environment here. We have a card here that is basically begging for that leadership energy. So we have Five of Wands, and we see the answer to the challenge in the form of this person moving the pieces on the chessboard. It's about being strategic. The traditional Five of Wands is one that often shows competition and overlapping or even sort of like redundant efforts. So one of the things that you want to be mindful of this month is not to get caught up into other people's sort of energies or issues, and really to rise above. That's what she's doing here, rise above and be the leader. The next card in this suit is Six of Wands. Six of Wands is success. I talked earlier when I was seeing the energy of Hera that would be something that I would connect with, because you might need to lead the charge rather than get in the mix of all of this stuff. Some of you are just really tired of a job, of putting so much energy into a relationship, of putting so much into a task and not seeing a return. So in the hope, spheres, and opportunity space is you making a decision. And I feel like, again, for some of you, the decision's already been made because we have the World card. But for those that have the freedom to make a decision and turn the ship in the direction that you want to be kind of sailing in, this card is saying, okay, what is it that you want? And what are you going to do to create that next step? So it could be having a conversation. I mentioned with the Knight of Pentacles at the center, some of you can take the reins or some of you can reach for the reins. So if you're not seeing what you want, and we can just kind of look at the cards here, this can be dissatisfaction, reaching for the reins, saying, I want this, speaking up, and you have a good chance of getting it with the King of Swords reversed here. But you have to speak your heart's desires and speak it into existence. For some of you, you're also saying, I'm done with this. This can be quitting, this can be a divorce, this can be a separation, or just kind of moving in a new direction altogether. In the outcome, you have the King of Swords in reverse, and this is really about making sure that you are speaking up, speaking out, and also doing so in a way that is clear and succinct. Basically, a King or a Queen of Swords, when reversed, they're not sort of mincing any words, they're not using kid gloves, they're getting in and out of a conversation. If you don't like something, say no. If there's something that needs to be fixed, pump the brakes and say, just a second, we need to deal with this first, then we can address that. It's how a leader speaks. They're not afraid to sort of just get in and, provide that feedback. The one thing that is always possible and really, I would say, suggested when we have a King and Queen of Swords in reverse is also just to check to make sure that the tone and the timing is right. Listen to yourself or ask someone else before you deliver the message. Say, does this sound right? And then when you're checking in with someone, say, do you have a moment? Just get all of that clear. And how are you doing? Like, check in with them, check the timing, and then check with someone else to make sure that the tone of this conversation is what it needs to be. Let's go ahead and expand this and take a deeper dive into health, wealth, love, and destiny. We're going to begin with health, which is your mind, your body, and your spirit. And in the energy of health, we have intuition and downloads. This card reminds me a lot of a high priestess card or a magician card in reverse. Basically what it's saying is to trust the way that you feel. And when it comes to communicating that feeling or intuition, don't be self-deprecating. So if you feel an ache or a pain and it's bothering you, just go into your doctor and say, hey, this is something I'm feeling. What might it be? Don't say something like, well, maybe it's nothing. Just go in and say, I have a question. I haven't felt this before. I'd like to check it out. What do you think? It's important to be assertive when it comes to your health and communicating with a doctor. If you don't like the treatment or you don't like the way that something's going, raise your hand. I had to do this recently with like a dentist that was working on me. I'm like, this doesn't feel right. I just switched dentists completely because they weren't listening. They were basically too rough in your mouth, and that's an important part of your body. So I got out before anything happened there that I would have been too angry about. But basically, you have to listen to your instincts. And my only regret there was not speaking up a couple moments earlier. So sometimes you're in shock when you're working with a doctor sometimes, and it's sort of like, wait a second, that's not what we talked about. That's especially true if it just doesn't sound right, if it doesn't feel right, and there's no pressing need to do something, especially for anything elective. Pump the brakes and say, I need more information. I got to sleep on this. I need to get a second opinion and get that second opinion, okay? Otherwise, it's saying if there is a small ache or pain, you have a chance here of dealing with it before it becomes anything big, which is ideal, all right? And that's everything for that card. But let's just look at the general spread here and see what else is coming through. What jumps out to me is the Three of Swords, first and foremost. And there are two things that this can represent. It could be emotions that you're going through. And as I said earlier, the most important thing here is to process those emotions. Each of us do that in a different way. It could be vocalizing them. For some of you, it could simply be giving yourself time and space to heal before jumping into something new. This can also, however, represent the heart. And in particular, when we see Three of Swords, it's usually looking at your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your cholesterol, all the things that kind of work in this general vicinity here. So with all of those, you would have to work with your doctor. But if you have family history of any of those or heart disease, it's important to get annual checkups. I go to a cardiologist every year because there were some issues on my dad's side of the family. So I just try to get ahead of that. And I understand actually it can be nerve-wracking, but typically because you do that sort of year-to-year checkpoint, there's less to be anxious about. And you just feel like you have control over it. So speaking from someone who has it in their family history, it's just, and I also, on my mom's side, it's like blood sugar. I have to keep an eye on those things. So please do yourself a favor and just get ahead of it. I understand the anxiety, but it's also something that we have all this boss energy this month. Managing it can be much, much more empowering at the end of the day. In the deep past, we have the Nine of Cups, and it's basically encouraging you not to go overboard. If you have a tendency to overwork or to go overboard in anything in your life, drinking too much alcohol, eating too much sugar, working out too much, it can be anything. Overdoing anything this month, you really want to pull back on that and make sure that that doesn't kind of pop up. It's something from the past. Let's see what else is going on. For some of you also, we're getting the newness here with the World card and the Judgment card, stepping into something bigger or newer or different, letting the dust settle, and that's what's causing some of the heightened emotions. If you have to make an important decision about change, try not to do so if you're feeling either grief or stress. Try to take a step back, get the support you need, get the clarity that you need, and make sure that you're making that on a clear mind. Generally speaking, most of the cards are pretty good here, and I think that the main thing here is to focus on doing what feels right for you. And remember, at the end of the day, nobody can make that decision except for you. Let's talk about judgment. Judgment can be a second chance for some of you. You may have had a brush with a really difficult health challenge. Some of you could even be something like an NDE. You came back and you're like, all right, I'm coming back here. I've got more life to live, and I'm going to make the most of it. So it can be literal or figurative, where it's just sort of like, that was a close call, and it's a wake-up call to do things differently. And you get this sort of renewed and fresh view of the world. This is also true for those of you that have gone through loss. And I know that I am significantly different the last decade because I've lost both of my parents over a 10-year period. I'm a different person now. I'm stronger. I'm clearer on what matters. I'm more confident. I know that I have to do everything because it's me, but I have a lot more empathy. It just made me a better person. And it also showed me the finite nature of life. I never say it's short. We are eternal souls that have this finite experience that we call life here on this planet. So why waste any of it on a person that is not receptive, on a job where you feel like you're just clocking in and clocking out? If there's anything in your life where it's not meeting the overall sort of long-term trajectory for you, it's sort of, this is the wake-up call. It's saying, it's time to make the shift. And it feels like some of you saw the writing on the wall, but it takes sometimes a close brush with death or with change or with movement to have that sort of wake-up call, okay? We also have a throat chakra opening here, and it came through in, let's see, this is health, wealth, and love. So it could be playing its role out in relationships, but really in general, this is a chance to just sort of work on the throat chakra and opening that, speaking your truth, speaking up. And for some of you, when you have that energy of the throat maybe being blocked, what happens sometimes is sore throat, allergies, laryngitis, or just some difficulties in breathing or speaking. So obviously you want to take care of the throat chakra because it encompasses so much. I've talked about this a lot in different readings. I mean, it's your vocal cords, it's your thyroid, it's upper spine, esophagus, many other organs, which I can't all think of right now. But you just want to definitely take care of this energy point. And that's why it's important to trust yourself and to speak up if you need to. Okay, let's move on to wealth. Everybody deals with wealth, whether you're working or not. And so let's look at it in that large sort of scope first. And we have, guess what? Surprise, surprise. A divine feminine card coming through here. So the she-wolf is saying it's okay to speak up. We even see her coming out of the mouth of the wolf here. So fight for what matters. Speak up if someone's acting a fool. A lot of times the wolf energy comes through on Seven of Swords. So if someone tries to get away with something, you're like, no. You may see sort of like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Someone that looks great, but they're not actually all that they're sort of trying to present themselves to be. And then I just love that. Unleash the wild within. Have some fun. Be creative. We're looking at wealth. So standing out of the crowd, using your voice, being very sort of, I'm looking at the wolf and I kind of think of something that can move strategically and instinctively. Really, really good energy here. So much divine feminine. To me, that is connecting with boss and birth energy. You've got both. You've got the ability to really stand out from the crowd and also be in a leadership position and then create something that matters. Let's go ahead and break it down briefly into 3 categories. I'm going to look at those that are employed first, then we'll look at those that are looking for work, and then students and retirees. For those that are working, it's a month of expansion. And for many of you, this is really welcome expansion because you felt like you're reconnecting with something that you forgot, a part of yourself, leadership quality, or just something where you're like, when is this going to happen? And this is the month to really breathe that into existence. Be bold this month with the World card. And we saw the taking of the reins here at the center. So reach for what it is that you want and don't limit the potential. Let someone else come through and say just how much is available or possible, but don't put that out there into the universe until you actually see something substantial. So keep it open to being more than you expect is another thing, or another way of looking at that. So I see the possibility for major expansion, new money opportunities coming in, new creative ventures coming through. The big challenge, the key opportunity this month is, does it fit your strategy and goals? Does it make you happy? Are you feeling that sense of fulfillment? What else is going on in your life that might be adding to the 3 of Swords? Is it, for some of you, this competition, this weird vibe, corporate culture, it's just not what you want? Could it be your own sort of emotional challenges in family and friends, or even just personally that's going on that could be getting in the way? We want to clear that filter out so that you can see what's available to you. There could be 2 opportunities, 2 big opportunities, and you're in the middle trying to make a choice, because these that's the penultimate, that's the ultimate card. So second to the last. And what we're looking at here can also be you vacillating between the decisions or the opportunities. This is when you want to talk to others, ask questions. And I think mostly here, go for something that creates that sense of fulfillment. Overall, a chance of like birthing and rebirthing, ends and beginnings. It's a big month overall. The only thing that I see for some of you is you're just maybe done with something. This is like completion. This is a lack of satisfaction, and this is a decision to move in a new direction. So for the folks in that category, you can watch the next section, which is job seeking. Everyone else, there is one last note here, which is try not to get caught up in other people's drama, in competition, in trying to just kind of do something solely for validation or recognition. You have to feel like it's just something that creates joy for you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to those that are seeking employment. Your biggest opportunity is to imagine yourself as something different. And this is something I've had to do 2 or 3 times in my career, where I had to take all my skills and just package them up in a different way and think, well, I'm going to do this. Maybe it's not what I studied to do. Maybe it's not what people expect, but it's what I want to do. So the most important thing here is to see yourself differently. This is how the world saw you. This is how you see yourself. This is also how you present yourself. So really take a close look at your website, your social media, your resume, whatever and however it is that you're putting yourself out there, and make sure that it represents the new chapter, not just the memories, not just the past. And that's really important when reimagining and rebranding. And I think that's actually the big opportunity, mostly for those job seeking, but even for those that have a job. It's rebranding yourself and kind of like reforging a path, okay? When it comes to jobs, there's one immediately within reach here with the 5 of Wands. It could be academic in nature, or there could be, for some of you, might be going back to school, by the way. So I get academia here. I get also that it's important to reach for more when it comes to negotiating and reaching for money. Make sure that you're kind of like firmly leading that conversation of compensation. I think that the main thing that I'm looking at here is an opportunity to take a different fork in the road. So yes, you can find at least 1 or 2 job opportunities, but they may feel very similar to what you did before. What I see in the sort of like distance, if you start to move in a new direction, is something where there's more leadership, more voice, more fulfillment. So maybe some of you are thinking of getting additional training or experience or internship. Any of these things could aid in that sort of opportunity. And a move, of course, with the World card especially, moving, traveling, or thinking more broadly and how it is that you can do this. All of those are coming through. Very creative energy with all the cups sort of here in the crowning position and near future. So I definitely get like artists and writers and sort of academia, all of that is coming through. All right. I think the main thing here is don't let one setback get in the way here, especially when it's job seeking. Whenever you're looking for anything, a relationship, a house, a job, rejections help you find that needle in the haystack. And the big way that you can find it this month is rebranding yourself and reimagining. So I'm almost encouraging you here to just go out of your normal sort of job type or template and try something completely different if you want to. For students, here's what I see for many of you. You're doing great, actually. There is some stress coming through, but when it comes to can you navigate through this, absolutely. I always like to remind students, if you're not happy, now is the time to course correct. If you're just feeling stressed, though, it's a time to take a few things off your plate, get some support for that, and avoid extremes for sure. This is the one time I will say pull back a little bit from doing too much when it comes to extracurricular, definitely when it comes to parties or things of that nature. Pull back a little bit, take care of yourself, and stay strategic on the long-term sort of goals. But some of you might want to change majors. Some of you might want to change direction. That's okay. Better to do it now than to get out of school and not like what you're doing. But can you accomplish what you're setting out to do? Yes. Overall, the cards are pretty good. I'm just getting some emotional undertones here, and I want you to kind of like make sure that you sort that out. For retirees, reimagining what you want to do next. You are more than whatever this experience was in the past. So the Judgment card is like a new birth for you, a new Genesis. By the way, people may still want some of your time and energy. This can be a short-term contract, so someone might want you as an advisor or a contractor. This could also be you writing things down in a memoir form or having sort of like a public speaking engagement opportunity. Otherwise, travel, overdue travel for some of you. Really taking care of your emotional and physical well-being. I feel pretty good about where the finances are for many of you. So it's saying, what can I do with the time and energy that I have? It needs to evoke a spark of joy or passion. That's kind of your litmus test. I think new people could be coming into your life. Definitely new love and friendship if you're open to it. That's a nice segue for us to take a look at love and relationships. And as I said earlier, the throat chakra is coming through here. So right here, this is for many of you, it's about taking the initiative. So if there's something you need to say, whether it's I love you, I'm sorry, you upset me, whatever it is, speak your truth. A little tip for some of you, let's say you're getting the silent treatment or the person you love isn't on the planet anymore, they're in spirit. You can still have those conversations. And for someone in everyday life that isn't listening to you, you can just speak out loud to them as if they were in the room or in your mind in a prayer or something and just say, especially if you're releasing the energy or if you're upset, say, the way you treated me upset me. I need to move forward. This is why I'm upset, but I no longer want to hold on to that. I release it. And it's a really effective and therapeutic thing. By the way, that person will hear that in soul review at the very end of their existence. So know this, if you can't have a real-time conversation, it's almost like sending a message in the bottle. When they're ready to receive it, either intuitively or when they go into spirit, they will get that message. It's just time delayed. So that's one way to process grief or frustration. And then if someone's in spirit, you can connect to them anytime. Even if you don't hear back in real time, they hear you. They receive the message. Try to do messages of release and healing if possible there. That'll help you. That'll help them. But say what you need to say. That's obviously what this card is showing here. All right, let's break it down. Let's look at it in three major categories. Those in love, those that are looking for love, and those that are happily single. If you're already in a relationship, if we take this out of the mix, I like everything else that I see here. It feels like the relationship can go to a bigger level here with the World and Judgment. I actually see pretty evenly met energy here with the Page of Cups and the Ace of Cups. One of the big and driving forces this month in relationships is going to be career and personal growth. And we see a lot going on here. For some of you, this is where the argument or the sort of frustration could be coming through. There could also simply be something from the deep past, not even from this relationship, that is coming through, and there's an external stress. As I'm talking, I can actually feel almost right here like ants in my head, on my head rather. When I feel the scratching sensation right there, it's an argument. I used to feel it for some family members that are no longer here, like when they argued or when they were upset. It now passed now that I said that. So there's an argument brewing, or for some of you, there is someone's holding a grudge or is angry. Because this is general, I can't tell the source, but I can tell what's going on. There's an argument. Try not to walk into an argument, and if they're trying to pick a fight and it has nothing to do with you, the best thing you could do is just sort of like send them some love and walk out and just say, I know this isn't a good time. Let me know what I can do. Let me know how I can support you. Just try not to kind of like poke the bear there. Eventually you want to have a conversation though about boundaries, and that, when it comes to a relationship, you can help, you can support, but you don't have to sort of be the trash bin that takes all that garbage all the time. But there's a time and a place to have that conversation, and it may not be when they're having a bad day or having a bad moment. Just give them space. That's what I'm picking up on. Because otherwise the relationship's okay. I think the main thing here, the other thing besides an argument, could be someone that jumps to a conclusion and gets judgmental and speaks without thinking. So either there's an old argument or an external stress, or someone's just speaking and not tuning in and not assuming the best. That's the main challenge this month. It doesn't have to be the end of the world though. It's just to me, it seems like making a mountain out of a molehill. So try to avoid that in relationships and existing relationships. There's a lot to love. There's a lot of passion. There's a lot of work that you've done. Right now, it feels like one partner's doing more of that work and another partner's just kind of like speaking without thinking. So those are the areas of opportunity. If it's a healthy relationship, what I see is that work is creating stress. There could be some external voices like in-laws or friends that are piping up when they shouldn't. You just want to tune that out, okay? All right, moving on to those of you that are seeking a relationship this month. If you're looking for love, we actually have one popping through right at the center, Knight of Pentacles. So there could be an earth sign, could be a co-worker, by the way. The thing is that one or both of you could be on a rebound, so be mindful of that. I also see water signs coming in, and particularly a Pisces, but it could be any water sign. And the main thing here is that one person needs a little bit of healing or support. Again, maybe not on a rebound, but they're just more ready for a relationship maybe than you are. And you just want to kind of like take it a step at a time, one step at a time there. I actually don't see a lot of difficulty in meeting new people. I do see karmic energy, past life. So we have the past life coming through. The karma in this lifetime has to do with reciprocity and teamwork in general. So you can sort that out at the beginning if you feel like that person is willing to put in the work. And if they're not, then it may not be the right timeline for that. And then just in general, this is an encouragement here with the throat chakra to be, if you're interested, be the one that initiates the conversation. Also, this person may talk a lot. We also do have an air sign here coming through. And that's the main thing that I'm seeing is not a lot of listening. Because I have so many elements, the only thing missing is wands here. Discernment is key. Like, be very clear on what it is you're trying to call in, because there's almost too many options there. So that's my last piece of advice there. All right, moving on to those of you that are happily single. There are two cards, really three, that catch my attention, but these two sum it up. Judgment and the throat chakra. King of Swords too. Someone might be passing or projecting judgment on you based on the fact that you are happily single. It can be a parent asking, like, when are they going to get a grandchild? It could be a peer or coworker trying to set you up. And, you know, in your life, you're very happy. And you think to yourself, I don't need that. So all you have to do is say, I'm really happy. I'm actually fascinated about the fact that you're trying to control or affect my life. I'm good. Is everything okay with you? Just throw it right back at them and let them know it's none of their business. And especially when it comes to a parent, just say, like, yeah, well, when am I going to win the lotto or get a unicorn? Stop asking about that. The more you ask, the less likely it is to happen. Just kind of push back. And it's just basically, it's a control thing. It's kind of like devil energy, actually. Someone that wants to pull you in and kind of connect you in a way that isn't what you want. So use your throat chakra and just push back on that, okay? But for for the rest of you that aren't kind of dealing with that kind of energy, here's what I see. There's a lot of creativity coming through this month. So if you want to put that into a creative project, this could be music, it could be writing, it could be dance, it could be anything. This is, though, like a recording of it. It's getting it in a blueprint or a writing or a recorded form. That's what I see there, is some sort of a project that can be recorded and then broadcast or shared or published or delivered to others. So that's exciting. The other thing that I see here is a lot of movement with finances in general and personal development. And I see you being able to launch something new. This is a rebirth sort of opportunity. And even then, when you try something radically different, people will want to know, like, well, are you okay? Are you sure? Because really at the end of the day, when you are in a different swim lane or you're changing or you're veering off in an unexpected path, it makes people look at their own lives differently. And that's really what that's about. Okay. So it feels like you're in a good direction and trajectory overall. A little bit of healing to be done here. That's the only thing that I see. And for some of you, looking at the past or looking at the lens of nostalgia and not getting stuck there. I think that's the key thing that I want to mention there one more time. Now let's move on to destiny. We have Cobra energy coming through. The snake in reverse for some of you could be a reminder to focus on, I'm looking at the colors on this, and it's really like root and sacral chakra. It's like first, second, maybe a little bit of the third, a little bit of solar plexus in the corner, but it's your lower chakra energy. And the Kundalini energy starts at the base of the spine, so root chakra in particular. So this is a chance to feel your sense of confidence, power, and grounding. And if it's lacking in your life, that's where the focus should be. Snakes are flexible. When the cobra is in reverse, it can show inflexibility. Snakes are powerful. When the snake is reversed, it can be doubting one's power or maybe not having as much confidence as you could or should. And this is a chance to focus on that. So particularly the root chakra has to do with safety. And the second chakra has to do with expression of sensuality and creativity. And the third one is your power as well. So all three of these are really coming through here. And spiritually and metaphysically, a lot of times we just focus on like 4, 5, 6, 7, but we got to spend some time on those lower chakras to really make sure, like a tree, that everything is planted, rooted, and stable. Okay? Let's go ahead now and take a deeper dive into sun, rising, and moon sign messages and see what else is in store. Sun, rising, and moon. Okay, let's begin first with sun sign. We have Aries sun, the Four of Wands in the reverse state. This is still a really positive card. You're setting the stage for the partnership that you see here. Everything that I just talked about when it comes to grounding and feeling like you're really safe and secure, that's what this is about. So the more you can focus on feeling secure, feeling planted, feeling that you've got this, the more that you call in like-minded energy. Four of Wands indicates incoming partnership, friendship, love, or maybe a really nice foundational opportunity where you're working with others. But there is a little bit of hesitation that could be making this take a little longer than it should. There can also be disbelief when someone that really has integrity, leadership, and accountability, when they come into your life, you're like, is this for real? Is this person really as good as they look? And it feels like they want to come in, but there just has to be that sense of readiness. So set the stage, continue working on yourself, and then we see the potential here to really partner up with someone great. This is also saying don't settle for less than someone who emanates that energy of Four of Wands. And it's commitment, it's monogamy, it's best friend energy, it's all of those things pulled into one. So it feels like that's what you're putting out in the long-term trajectory. Keep feeling that sense of readiness for that to come in. Keep working on those attributes within. So again, accountability, dependability, and stability. Okay, all of them have abilities, so you have the ability to do that, just to kind of go to the root of the word. So for Aries rising and ascendant, we have the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Let's take a look at the traditional card first, because it does a slightly better job of illustrating the energy. What this is really about is achieving balance, making smart choices and being discerning, saying no if necessary, and coming to the understanding or the realization that there are probably more outstretched hands than you have the resources to provide, than you can basically satisfy. In order to be happy, successful, and effective, you have to say no and possibly disappoint some people. That's okay, because where you do put your time and energy, you will see a return, and this will basically ensure that you have enough steam to kind of take things to the finish line. In this illustration, we see like tea being spilled or two people trying to get all of this sort of resources. That's where the limit is coming from here. But I also get kind of a gossipy vibe here because I think of spilling the tea, which just came through in one of my dailies. So what I'm getting on this particular illustration is that some of you could be trying to make a decision solely based on what other people will say or think. And that is sort of a path that you don't want to go down. What you want to do instead is weigh what's right for the general good, for you, and not worry so much about what 2 or 3 people might be saying or thinking. And that is going to save you a lot of time and energy. Do what feels right, do what's right for the better good, what will give you more than enough for the long haul, and that's really all you need to do this month to be successful, okay? Moving on to Aries moon, we have the Magician card, which is really auspicious. Anything you set your mind to this month, you have a great chance of accomplishing it. The Magician, however, does require both faith and focus. You got to believe in yourself, you got to believe in the vision, you have to follow through on that. The problem sometimes with the Magician is there's so many things in front of the sort of like stage that you don't know where to start. So having a plan too is also helpful. But that being said, it is a card of magic and possibilities. You can pull a rabbit out of the hat. So where someone else would be challenged or would be stuck, you can think your way through it. Connecting again, even to the Queen of Wands energy. So trust your instincts, try something different, stand out. All of those things matter. Also, if you want to go in a new direction, the Magician also encourages you to do that. Many of you may have more than one skill or passion, and I think that's really normal and good. Like, we shouldn't have to just be stuck in one template for the entirety of our life. So if you want to try something new, this is also encouraging you to do so. It's a card of chemistry and also personality. So the way to make things happen is also to project that excitement, that passion, and that connectedness to whatever you're doing. Other people want to be a part of that as well. Now is a chance for all of you to look at one last question. The final question, final card. Think about something that I've yet to answer, and go ahead and just hold that question in your mind. Let's see what Spirit has to come through on this one to say. And we have the 6 of Cups. This is a great card here. This is a yes, an affirmative to any yes-no questions, but the more nuanced answer on this one is, it's a card of partnership here. The 6 of Cups can be connecting with a kindred spirit, someone that really has the same sort of energy as you. This could be new love for some of you. This is also reconnecting with inner child energy or someone from the past. Partnership is a key component to success with this. And also, like, it's a playful partnership because we have all of these children here. And this is like the older self looking at the younger self. So trying to look at something through the eyes of someone new or with a childlike sort of playfulness, that's the key to success here. But when it comes to love and friendships, just like those of you that got the 4 of Wands or the fact that we got the Page of Cups, I definitely see sort of new connections that want to be forged and come through this month. And that's one of the best partnership cards you can get. That, my friends, brings this reading to a close. So if you enjoyed this, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe, make sure you opt into notifications so you never miss out on a future video. You can also give me a follow on social media. That way you can get some extra reminders when I drop new content. It's always my full name, Nicholas Ashbaugh, on all these major platforms. You can also go to my website as well to get all of those relevant links, or just go to the main channel page here and they'll be linked out as well. Just a quick reminder, there are some imposters that pop up from time to time, especially on TikTok. If you see someone messaging you or offering a product or service through some sort of comment or message, just block and report. Let me know about it as well. That is not me. Finally, I'd like to just say thank you. Thanks for being the best part of what I do here on YouTube, for your love, your support, your participation. I wouldn't be here without you. Take care, and I'll see you soon.